So I will be presenting complete eco-evaluation in incidentally detected pH. This is very interesting patient, and as we see, it unfolds how the final diagnosis is made. This is 41-year-old working woman, lean and thin and active. Each and every word is important in this case. Presented with acute palpitation on July 27, 2023. Has 18 months old child, is physically active, athletic, not on any therapy, no trauma history, no surgery, no fever, BP is normal, but heart rate is 120 and no history of dyspnea is present. ECG was performed, which I will show. The only thing detected for the first time was random blood sugar was 440 mg/cent. This was the ECG. If you see, this is sinus tachycardia and probably type C RVH, transition in V4. And patient had total cholesterol of 227 mg/cent and LDL 168 mg/cent, HDL 38 mg/cent and TG 147 mg/cent. Patient had a D-dimer of 1200 nanogram per ml and troponin was 0.03 nanogram per ml and BNP 90 picogram per ml. So this is a newly detected type 2 DM, type 2 dyslipidemia, mild troponemia and raised D-dimer. This is so far, this we have found with this patient. So now to evaluate what are the causes which can cause raised D-dimers, vascular thrombosis anywhere in body, sepsis, pregnancy, stress, rheumatoid arthritis, trauma, malignancy or diabetes. Our case is first time diagnosed diabetes, which is uncontrolled, 440 mg/cent sugar is there. Then we saw the literature and this is a study showing the D-dimer levels are significantly higher in diabetics than controls. And D-dimer progressively increases as the person moves from pre-diabetic to diabetic microangiopathy and macroangiopathy. And D-dimer in DM influences the prognosis. It is prognostic indicator. A level more than 2200 nanogram per ml, it predicts diabetic neuropathy with sensitivity and specificity of 70%, so high. So there is another study which explains raised D-dimer in DM is positively related to LDL and inversely related to HDL levels. And now this is the echo of this patient who came with the palpitation. And this is, you can see the global hypokinesis and interventricular septum thickness 12 millimeter, which we measured. I have not measured here, but I have shown it. And you can see slightly dilated RVOT. LVEF is around 40% and GLS is minus 13.3%. Reduced, and but E to E prime is 6. But in this patient, I always try in such patients modified views. So I thought in this I am not getting something very great, so I tried modified views. I went into this epigastric window. And you can see the RVH is present. The diastolic wall thickness of RV is 8 millimeter. And you can see two ovoid masses, clots in the RV cavity. And Macaulay sign is absent. So in this patient, how to evaluate further? There is no evaluable TR or PR. So I did pulmonary pulse wave Doppler, and as you know, with this we calculate pulmonary valve acceleration time, which was 70 millisecond in this patient, and that makes the mean pressure of about 45 millimeter of mercury. And very specific mid-systolic notch indicating PVR more than 3 Wood units. See, the patient has presented only with tachycardia. Patient doesn't have dyspnea, and there are so many findings patient is having. Pulmonary acceleration time, just now Dr. Devika showed. This is a study less than 105 or 100 is indicative of PAH. Some people use AT and ET by AT also to estimate mean PA pressure. But my favorite is Goldstein formula, which is easy to remember. AT minus ACT into 0.5. That is, you half the ACT time and then subtract from 80, and that gives you the mean PA pressure. That is my favorite one. I remember that. So the presence of a Doppler notching pattern, either this is a study showing presence of a Doppler notching pattern, either mid systolic notch or late systolic notch, indicates the presence of PH with PVD with a sensitivity of 85% and specificity of 78%. The new definition of pulmonary hypertension is the resting mean PA pressure should be more than 20 millimeter of mercury by right heart cath. There are various formulas to calculate PASP, and these are various formulas which I will just tell names. You can take mean gradient method, Camilla method, and Sayed equation, Masuyama method, but these are difficult to remember. And here the RV function you can see, there is severe RV dysfunction by GLS. GLS of RV is only 11.2%. and RV free wall strain is minus 9%. This indicates RV and PA uncoupling. The S prime of the S wave of tricuspid annulus is 8 centimeter per second. So we thought we will do the CTPA of this patient, and you can see thrombi. I will show in the still picture also. Let this move. You can see RV clots also. Now I will change to this. You can see in RPA the thrombus is blocking almost all of the vessel, and in LPA partially it is obstructing the lumen. And this is the RV clot. One of them is shown here. In moving picture you can see multiple of them are there. This I will skip, I think. And this in the still picture you can see there is RV free wall thickness which is increased. And there is one very interesting thing which we found was anomalous right upper pulmonary vein. You can see in the echo below the flow, and in the CT picture also I have shown with the arrows. These are more views of this patient. So thinking this the thrombus in RV, I did the lower limb venous Doppler also. It was absolutely normal. There was no DVT. So far patient is acute on chronic pulmonary thromboembolism. Why I am saying acute on chronic pulmonary thromboembolism? Chronic because patient has RVH. That is in long-standing cases only. In acute you don't develop the RVH. So patient has type 2 DM, which we have already discussed is a prothrombotic state, pro-inflammatory state, and severe PH with pulmonary vascular disease, severe RV dysfunction, type 2 dyslipidemia, and PA-PVC. So the possible pathogenesis is biventricular diabetic dysfunction and in situ thrombus formation in RV. RVH and lack of RV dilatation and Macron sign indicate presence of CTEPH. This is a study showing the presence of right heart thrombi significantly increase the risk of dying. And this is another study showing young diabetics having 7.5-fold higher pulmonary embolism in population based study where less than 50 years age is taken. So the summary in this case is DM is a pro-inflammatory and pro-thrombotic state, and intracavitary thrombi may form, especially when there is ventricular or atrial dysfunction. And new onset DM may precede vascular or cardiac changes. I want to say, in this patient, patient has a diabetes. Patient has first onset of diagnosis of diabetes, which is prothrombotic and pro-inflammatory state. Number 2, patient has severe RV dysfunction. Patient has LV dysfunction, though the E2E prime is 6, but it is fallacious. But when patient has LV dysfunction, some sort of raised feeling pressure is always there. As sir had presented, E2E prime is not a very good indicator of LV feeling pressures always. So in this case, we found the cause is basic cause. Pathology was diabetes, which was uncontrolled, led to chronic thromboembolism and increased PA pressure, and which was contributed in turn with the raised LV pressure also and PVC. Thank you.